Yes, it's time. It's time to deepen the conversation with our upcoming panel discussion, which revolves around the topic from connections to conversions, unravel the significance and strategy behind loyalty programs. This panel is brought to you by Kubrix, and I'm honored to announce our esteemed panelists as they navigate through the intrinsities of creating executive and effective loyalty programs that drive conversions. The moderator for this panel is Juan Carlo Diaz, and the panelists are Mr. Abdullah Al Khaja, the Managing Director of Swift Food Investments, Mr. Amer Kiami, the Marketing Director for Alliant Food Division, Mr. Arun Avi, Founder and CEO for Kubrix and Skellam AI. Then we have Jacqueline, who is Strategic Global Transformational CMO of Alshaya Group.
Test. Hello. Good morning, everyone. So I know some of you might be hungry for lunch, but we have to stay for this because this is going to be really insightful. Excited to talk to these people about customer loyalty. I know that's a very important term in marketing, and we're going to deep dive into that, unpack what loyalty means, what are the tools, the technology, the programs that exist in the industry right now. So before we begin, I think the first question is really to define who a loyal customer is. What's the behavior of that customer? What makes a loyal customer different from a regular customer? I'll start with the lone female in the group, Jacqueline.
Hi, Juan. So I'll tell you a bit of a different definition on how we try to define that so that we're a bit more articulate into our strategy. And I think the starting point is to define who is a loyal customer, is to try to look externally and internally. So one, based on the category that we're in, what is the frequency of a purchase? So let's look at, I'll take an example of a QSR business, for example. People order or eat from a fast food restaurant on average in this market around twice a month. So this is their total purchasing power. A loyal customer, this means that they have 24 purchases a year. You cannot assume that for your brand, you're gonna ever own the 24 per year. That's monopoly. But if you can own 25% or 50% of that, that's your utmost loyal customer. If you have much, much less frequency versus this category norm, that you need to build and ladder up to that. For fashion, for example, consumers purchase 4 times a month at any point in time. You want to at least own one of them for any fashion brand. So it's a matter of what is the category norm, how much do I want, and accordingly, there are some loyal customers that are within that threshold. Those are my loyal customers. I want to keep them happy, keep them coming. And there are others where, for me, loyalty means I want to increase their frequency. I want to get them more often.
Amazing. And I think we're lucky to have someone in the panel who's not coming from the brand side, but coming from the tech support, kind of creating the tools and technology. So let's ask Arun, what for you, from your side of the fence, is a customer loyal customer and customer loyalty?
I think Jacqueline already kind of summarized. I mean, independently, we both arrived more or less at the same conclusion. So to expand on that, one of the objective measure is to look at your customer's journey from the RFM, like the recency, frequency, and monetary value aspect. So if you have to do it more from a algorithmically or mathematically perspective, you can cluster your customers around these parameters, and then look at what is the biggest cluster that will say what is the average customer is doing. So you can define your loyal customer as any customer who is doing better than your average customer from an RFM perspective. Or look at, for an example, you can say that based on your industry and then for restaurant industry, you can look at in your segment, what is the average repeat rate? So how often the customers come into your restaurant and how much they are spending, and what is their overall monetary value when they spend, or the customer lifetime value. So based on that, you can say that, for example, any customer who has not been coming to my restaurant for the last 60 days. So that assumes that your average repeat rate is less than 60 days. So if no one is, the given customer is not coming to the restaurant for more than 60 days, that's an at-risk customer. On the opposite side, a loyal customer has to be someone who is coming well within, let's say, if it's 2 weeks is your repeat rate, approximately the 2 weeks, and he has to spend approximately more than average of a customer who is spending in a 2-week spectrum. So that's about what Jacqueline also said. Yeah.
So we have a lot of the keywords that you guys mentioned, right? Customer, the pattern of their behavior, purchasing power. A lot of these things are, I would say, they rely on the persona of the customer, right? And I think for this specific panel to be really helpful for everyone here, we should talk about the contextual realities in the region. Who are the customers here, right? For example, we have a very young demographic in the region, median age of 33 in the UAE, for example. So these characteristics that are unique to the region, Amer, how helpful are these insights to you creating loyal customers?
First of all, thank you for having me here. It's an honor to speak and be part of this esteemed panel. Thank you very much. My name is Amer. I've done QSR throughout my life, 20 years plus, KFC, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, Burger King now. Let me framework the loyalty a bit on an Excel sheet, if we say. First of all, you need a customer for the first time. So you need to do acquisition, as they call it. So you need to acquire somebody to try your brand. And this first timer usually disappears or lapses. So he becomes, again, you need to, after a couple of years, to bring him back. So you need always the first purchase. Then you need to retain the customer for a second and a third and a fourth time. And that's the frequency. And this is the loyalty. And the loyalty here comes, there are two parts for loyalty. There are customers who are loyal to your offers, your value, your incentives that you're giving them. They appear only when there is something tangible for them. And then the ultimate goal, if you have people who are loyal to your brand, who don't think when they want to eat, they just come for you. You are the solution for them. You are the brand that they depend on. The kids love it. And that's a very loyal customer. So today it's getting more and more complicated. So there are so many brands, and the region is very different. I'm doing now Saudi Arabia and UAE. Saudi Arabia, people really wants to try new things. They are opening up and things, so loyalty becomes very hard because the amount of trial is enormous. There's so many things, so many brands, local, international, so many. Again, and this was the scene here maybe a few years back. Loyalty now is a big game and very important part of fast food. Maybe fast food and QSR are moving very strongly towards loyalty, just to keep these brands to keep on coming back and back, and that's what we call retention. So that's in a nutshell the differences between the countries.
I guess it's also kind of difficult to homogenize the region because Saudi is very different, as what you said, and the UAE is different. So I want to ask Abdullah what your insight to this question is. Like, what are the contextual realities in the region that make it hard or easy for you to create loyalty?
Thank you so much, Juan. Thank you for the panelists as well. My fellow panelists, they have shared their thoughts and they've done an amazing job on sharing on the data and the intricacies of the numbers and the Excel sheets, as Kareem mentioned. But I think one thing that transcends, whether it's in the UAE, whether it's in Dubai, whether it's in Saudi, whether it's in the region, or even global, a key aspect, or irrespective of the age group, is we want to evoke emotion. I think without emotion, loyalty will never happen. Once you're able to, assuming you have your target market, you have a target audience, you're able to tap into what makes them go out, seek your product, seek your service, really want to be part of what you're trying to do. Because if you're just either mislabeling or assessing who your target audience, or even if you know your target audience, but you're not really able to evoke any emotion that will tell me, you know what, today I'm gonna go have Burger King, or today I'm gonna go have pickle. The guys at Pickle, we all know that they've done an amazing job to evoke emotions with fun and laughters and memes and joyous content on social media. So I think this is a key part to really getting a loyal customer. And coming back to your question with the young population, I think in addition to that, people are looking to always find something new, something fresh. In the region, as you know, there's a lot of concepts. There are more concepts opening. Unfortunately, there's a lot of concepts closing as well. So the competition is fierce, and we have to be always changing, always dynamic, changing with the time, changing with the needs, what the customer wants. And through that journey, we're hopefully evoking that emotion. Yeah.
Amazing. Now I'm gonna ask them some trade secrets. Let's see if they share something from their boardrooms. Let's go back to Jacqueline. Now that we kind of have a setup and a context of who the customers here are and what kind of market are we talking about, what so far has worked for you for the brands that you have under Al Shaya?
Okay, let me before we get to loyalty, because again, I think there is one thing that we start to talk loyalty before, and I love that Amir, when he talked, he said acquisition first. Because the loyal consumer is rare. This consumer who will keep coming anyways every single day is very rare. You need to be thinking through the funnel at any point in time. And it really depends on what drives and which consumer segment. So what really worked very well is to really segment which consumer segment, which age, which groups of personas do we want to be after across brands, and start the funnel from the start. So for example, when we talk about Saudi or the Gen Zs, those are the two areas, by the way, that everybody is cracking his head on how to get them, right? There are two common things between, by the way, this age group, which is kind of an age across the region, and a nation or a national, very specific local consumer, is the fact that they are both after what appears big and popular and trendy. They want to be after the trends. And I think the first piece is, how can the brand show up as if it's trendy? Keep on showing up as if it's trendy, so when the consumer would lapse to the next big trendy thing, it will come back to it. And we talked it a bit, me and you, earlier. This is something that we tested actually when we were launching Raising Cane's, for example, in Dubai. We launched before 10 years ago. We failed miserably. And when we were launching in December, this was a focus area of, we need to appear bigger than what we are. It's one store. But the whole intent was to really appear much bigger than what we are, to attract this young audience who are taking their news really from social media and from their friends and word of mouth. And the bigger you appear popular, the more you're going to fill the funnel. And then it's up to us then through loyalty programs and our data and our first party data on how do we then bring them back. But you need the first purchase first, get the data tech there so that you can bring them back and understand their habits. But I think the first piece, if it doesn't happen, it becomes very difficult then to build the loyalty.
I want to talk to Amr about this as well, because I am aware that you have a lot of brands under Lion. So what are some of the programs that you've created under your brands that have worked for you so far?
First of all, thank you, Jacqueline, and I'm a big fan of the Aura application. I think most of us, we have the Aura application on our phone where we enjoy the different brands. Definitely we have some cash to spend there. Again, if we go back to the retention and getting customers to do repeat purchase, it is number one, the frequency program. It's the comeback that you bring back the customers once and twice and thrice. So Today, we have a program of frequency that we measure inside our brands. It's a very digitized frequency program that makes people to come back, and then you keep on sending them offers. We are on the verge of launching a big loyalty platform. Very soon it's coming, please stay tuned. One of the things that I'm very focused on with the team now, and even before in the past jobs, basic CRMs where you dissect your data and you see who consumed your brand in the past 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, lapsers, and you do different personalized offers. The first people who are lapsers for a couple of years, they really need a very strong incentive to come, and the less and less, so it depends. But you need to keep on talking with people, because people today, so many things, news all over the place, their mind is not with you, occupied, 100 of brands they follow, news all over the place, so you need to keep on pushing. And you cannot be silent. You need to be nagging. You keep nagging on the customer, so he reminds you, because there are so many things happening. The world just revolving so quickly, and we're just things passing very, very quickly. So that's in a nutshell.
Thank you. So it seems to me that loyalty is, as you've said, Jacqueline, like it's the first purchase is very important, and then it's up to the brands to kind of make sure that they come back. But what are, aside from customer persona, so we talked about the behavior of people, what other external factors are in play here, like price, for example, or even quality? Arun.
Yeah, I think to make the customer come back for the first time, I think your basic things, which is the product, has to be there. The product market fit and product has to be there. Without that, without those basic things in place, you cannot have a loyal customer. So that's of course there. But what makes the customer, what else is in place is how do you transition that customer from the first customer to make the second, third, and fourth, and fifth customer, and eventually a loyal customer through a data-driven approach. So earlier, Jacqueline's talked about segmentation. So what is happening now is go much deeper than from the notion of segmentation. Of course, segmentation is in play, assuming that the characteristics of a particular segment is uniform. But you look at that person and then do a hyper-personalized approach. But in this case, from transitioning that customer from to a new customer, you don't have enough data. So what you do is that you associate that customer to a much smaller nano segment, and then say that to which nano segment's behavior this customer is mostly associated towards. So other than the persona, which is the customer's basic characteristics about what he likes and dislikes, what else we can do is to nudge that customer through the loyalty journey with the right data-driven approach. Of the pricing, the habits of the customer, whether he is more inclined to, let's say having a breakfast or dinner, or what he eats, those things matters. But that is the natural tendency. I mean, some customer could be sensitive to higher pricing, some customer will not be. Now the idea is that capture those personas early enough and then nudge the customer towards the right journey. So if from the very first customer, very first purchase, you cannot make those generalities yet, right? You need to make at least 2 or 3 customers to make some sort of inference based on the customer habits. But yeah, so it's basically beyond the customer persona, what you can do is do a data-driven approach to nudge to the 4th and 5th purchases. Yeah.
Abdullah, do you?
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Just a minute. You talked about the quality of the food and the packaging of the food. We've seen during COVID the emergence of so many cloud kitchens, brands that we never heard about, and there are brands that we fall in love with and we are very loyal to today. And it's because of the food. It's because we found them there and we did the first order. We got blown away with the food or we liked it, and it's part of our life nowadays. Very simple brands, they are not on billboards, they are not very minimum interaction, but again, the quality was the king of the whole equation, and that's what drove the loyalty. For us as يعني big brands, we consider that's a given. We are there, and our purpose is to give that quality food.
Yeah, thank you so much for the panelists. I mean, wealth of information here. I just want to add something that is, some might feel it's not so related to marketing, but I feel that it should be in the future. And I feel whether big brands or small brands, a lot of brands, they take for granted two things. They take for granted the name, and they take for granted the tech that they have. In a way where you have a name, people will come. That holds true for a portion of it. And then I have this tech that will make my life easier. But unfortunately, from, as a consumer, from what I see is a lot of these brands, they adopt tech to take away from service. And you feel that tech is kind of dehumanizing the whole experience. And the staff are kind of going along with whatever the training they receive, right? So, and they're kind of going with the flow, and they're over-relying on tech. And I feel that marketing should and would be more integrated with kind of innovations on training, innovations on adopting tech to enhance service. And I think this plays a key role, just like with other markets that we've seen, we're in other businesses ourselves as well. We've seen that old kind of mentality, classic way of thinking is, the three pillars, service, food, quality, speed of service, is always will ring true. There'll be a trend, there'll be kind of waves up and down with tech and this and that, but it'll all boil down to, will this piece of tech enhance my service? Will it take away from my service? This is the key aspect. Yeah.
I think it's spot on, because there is a bit of a fascination recently with technology and digital products inside the store or inside the consumer journey. And sometimes, honestly, there are enthusiasm without starting with the consumer. Will this improve the consumer journey? Yes. If the consumer doesn't care, honestly, we shouldn't. Like, it's an investment that doesn't have a return on investment. In reality, it's just a nice gadget.
One thing you mentioned, Jacqueline, there's a funny scenario that happened with quite a few years back during COVID. We opened the store. And I was sitting in the storefront. Obviously, there's almost zero customers. It's like dead on COVID. And I'm just sitting, I'm just watching. And this was in one of the food courts. And this lady pulled up, and she went to give her order. And we've trained our staff kind of a bit brutally. Our operations manager sitting there, brutally on customer service, always with a smile, casual conversation, So they kind of, first day, they're all energized. They're all, going to you wanting to do 100%, 110%. And then she was almost offended because of the over-friendliness, because she expected she would walk into the food court. It would be a very transactional experience, kind of, this is your food, this is your order, here, you're on your way. She was almost offended that she felt that we're kind of messing around, or he's kind of, being kind of playful. But then when she went and got her food, she actually apologized. She apologized because she was rude to the staff, and she apologized. She was aware that, you can get good customer service. And we had a chat with her later on. So I think people are used to what they're given to. So, and these things, these key pillars should come back, and I feel that marketing should be more integrated into the training, into the staff, getting the staff involved.
We talked a lot about technology here now, and how sometimes it can be detrimental, and as you said, sometimes it takes away from the customer journey, which might affect loyalty. We're lucky to have a tech expert here from Kubrix. Arun, what do you say to that? What do you think what are the tools right now that exist, technology that exists that can help brands to retain loyal customers?
Yeah. Except Kubrix, yeah.
So, I think the food business, the restaurant business, is fundamentally it's a people business. It's a relationship business. I mean, people go to restaurants to have connection with their friends, to have a good time. So the last thing they want is a overdose of technology coming into. So I think the smart way is to ensure that technology is an enabler, but without losing the sight of the fact that fundamentally people are going to have a good experience. You know, when I go to restaurants and after COVID, everybody throw, they say scan for menu, right? The last thing I want to do in a restaurant is to take my phone again and then scan it. I said, give me your old school, paper menu back. That could be just me, but the fact is that you still need to keep the people fact into the equation. So, from a technology perspective, what has evolved on a loyalty side is that an ability. So, from historically, what changed over the last 10 years from a technology point of view to here is the computing ability and to derive intelligence from a large amount of data, consumer behavior data, customer behavior data, and then use it efficiently and then wisely to amplify your connection with the customer. So you use technology to increase that connect. Without connect, you cannot engage with the customer. So to add to my earlier panelist Ankita's remark that you cannot just throw money to the marketing, right? There are two kinds of marketing. One is retention marketing, one is acquisition marketing. And when we normally think about acquisition marketing, when we call about marketing, and we throw a lot of money because it's hard to measure the effectiveness of acquisition marketing because you don't have a lot of data, and data collection is hard because those customers mostly do not exist. And then you have to rely on inferences rather than direct determination of marketing efficiency. But when it comes to engaging with your existing customers, it is easier because you have the data. Of course, you need to get to come to the earlier remark that you cannot be creepy about collecting personal data and then doing personalized marketing or retention marketing. You need to have a consent occurred. When I'm using Google, I know that Google is using to serve me better, but I'm okay with that. So there has to be that kind of a consent. So use the data available, collect the data, organize the data, derive insights. So with the new technologies arriving like in generative AI and everything, you have more and more smarter ways to derive intelligence and then broadcast those customer intelligence back to them and then connect with them better. So all the latest technology like big data, analytics, AI, all is available for restaurants. For it's commoditized, it's available to you. Make use of it.
Amazing. I have a lot of questions still, but unfortunately we're running out of time. So I want to open the floor for questions. If you have anything you want to ask these experts. Yes, the lady in front.
So thanks for your presentation and also its conclusion. We are glad to hear. And I have a question. How do you preserve customer loyalty in times of uncertainty, like false rumors, unprecedented events, or like diseases like corona? So I want to have feedback from each one of you.
I can answer it partly. So we work with the world's largest coffee company, and we developed a lot of the personalization solution about them and continue to work with them. So I can talk from some of experience in what happened during Corona and then how the customer loyalty was taken care of. So generally what was there was that a lot of customer engagement transactions moved to online, right? And otherwise, a lot of customers who otherwise had that personal experience in the in-store, they were given some sort of a digitalized personal experience through the app and other digital channels. So the brand was reasonably successful in continuing to establish the connect. So customer loyalty didn't dwindle much. It was there. It's just that a lot of that transition to an effective engagement through the digital channel. But of course, the in-store, whatever happening in the in-store engagement, that got affected, and because that's normal everywhere during pandemic.
Just to add on this, and I'll tell you at least from a fundamentals methodology standpoint, how to best, when it comes to time of disruption, I think there is a mix between internal and external data that needs to be analyzed. So first, research what's happening in the market. Because in some cases, there might be a disruption that impacted everybody, like in COVID. So it's a purchase decline across everybody, but it could be that my brand is the most impacted and there is a big consumer shift. So this is the first piece that cannot be answered by only analyzing my first party data and my sales and my own data just sitting in isolation. But then we need to layer it with our own data to understand then what's happening. Is it consumers going into less frequency, so the action is to drive recency and try to drive this extra frequency by engaging them? Or is it a matter of everybody's declining, so let's figure out how do we engage back on the category? So at which stage of the funnel the disruption in the market is impacting my brand? But I think it's two things together.
All right, thank you. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. So if you have more questions to them, just remember their faces, approach them later, and you can talk one-on-one. Thank you so much to the panelists, and thank you everyone for listening.